How Fire Made Us Human, 30 Secrets from Our 1 Million Year Obsession. What Lily found, told in my words. I know someone named Lily. She loves discoveries. Not the kind you post online. She loves the kind that rip history in half and make you see the world differently. This winter she vanished into the library. No calls, no texts. When she came back, she had one notebook, filled front to back with one word, fire. Not the fire we use now. The first fire. The one that made us human. She didn't want to publish anything. She just wanted to understand. So she let me read her notes. She said, tell it however you want. Just don't make me sound smart. Make the fire sound important. So here's what she found, in my words. 1. Fire predates us by hundreds of millions of years. The first note Lily wrote was, we didn't invent it. We showed up late. Lightning has been igniting forests for over 400 million years. Volcanoes have been spilling flames since the Earth had a crust. Fire was already old when the first dinosaur saw it. The discovery wasn't creating flame. The discovery was deciding not to run. That choice, she said, was the real birth of humanity. 2. The oldest possible human fire is 1.5 million years old. At Kubi Fora in Kenya, archaeologists found patches of reddened soil and burned clay from the time of Homo erectus. It's dated to about 1.5 million years ago. The problem is, it could also be a natural bushfire. The evidence is messy. Scientists still argue about it at conferences. Lily loved that detail. She wrote, our most important story starts with a maybe. If it was controlled, it means our ancestors were tending flames before our own species existed. 3. Wonderwerk Cave gives us the first real hearth. This is where Lily got excited. In South Africa, 30 meters deep inside Wonderwerk Cave, researchers found ash, burned animal bones, and charred bits of plant from 1 million years ago. Wildfires don't walk into caves and make neat, contained ash piles. This was deliberate. This was someone's campfire. Lily drew the cave in her notebook. She added a small stick figure next to the ash layer and wrote, first living room. Fire wasn't a single invention. It was a slow, repeated accident. Lily hates that one genius caveman myth. The record shows something else. Fire use appears, disappears, and reappears across hundreds of thousands of years and thousands of miles. Some groups probably kept embers alive from wildfires for generations before anyone figured out how to make a spark. Others lost the skill when a firekeeper died. She compared it to learning to swim, not one moment, but a million attempts. History isn't a light switch, she wrote. It's a sunrise. 5. Our bodies were reshaped by cooking. Around 1.9 million years ago, Homo erectus appears with smaller teeth, smaller rib cages, shorter guts, and much bigger brains than earlier hominins. Lily found Richard Wrangham's cooking hypothesis. Cooked food is soft, safe, and unlocks way more calories. Fire predigested our meals. That meant our bodies could stop spending energy on massive jaws and long intestines. That energy went to our brains instead. In her margin note she wrote, we ate fire, and fire built our minds. 6. For most of early human history, fire was rare. This surprised her. You'd think once we had it, we'd never let it go. But dozens of Homo erectus sites have tools and butchered bones with no sign of fire. No ash, no charcoal, no burned rock. That means fire wasn't universal. It was a specialty. Maybe only used in winter. Maybe only by certain groups. Maybe it went out and took generations to get back. She said, knowledge was as fragile as the flame. 7. Neanderthals were fire engineers, not just users. By 400,000 years ago, Neanderthals in Europe had serious control. At sites like Beech's Pit in England, they built structured hearths. They used fire to make birch bark tar, the first known synthetic material, to glue spear points. They heat-treated flint to make it easier to flake into tools. They even used manganese dioxide, a black mineral, to lower the ignition temperature of wood. That's chemistry. Lily was annoyed at old textbooks that call them brutes. She wrote, they were the first chemists. 8. Fire conquered the night. Before fire, Lily explained, night belonged to predators. Lions, hyenas, and leopards see in the dark. We don't. A campfire changed the rules. It created a circle of safety. It let us sleep in shifts, tell stories, plan hunts, and care for the sick after dark. Some anthropologists think language and storytelling exploded because fire gave us evenings. We weren't just surviving anymore. We had time. 9. The first fire-starting kit was probably fungus and rock. Otzi the Iceman, a 5,300-year-old mummy found in the Alps, carried tinder fungus and pyrite to make sparks. But Lily found evidence that the trick is way older. Tinder fungus, Fomes fomentarius, catches a spark and holds an ember for hours. Strike flint against pyrite over it, and you get fire. She thinks early humans used this for hundreds of thousands of years. The first matchbox, she called it, was a tree and a stone. 10. We used fire to edit the earth. This one is huge. Lily found the term fire stick farming. For at least 50,000 years, people in Australia, the Americas, and Africa set controlled burns. They cleared brush, made grass grow back fresh for game animals, and opened landscapes for travel. Fire wasn't just in the hearth. It was a landscape tool. We became the first species to deliberately redesign ecosystems. She wrote, we didn't just tame fire. We used it to tame the world. Lily kept going after Wonderwerk Cave. Her notebook gets denser here. She wasn't just chasing dates anymore. She was chasing what fire did to us. How it changed our bones, our homes, our wars, and our gods. She'd underlined sentences twice when they surprised her. Here's the next batch, still in my words. 11. Fire was our passport out of Africa. Lily drew a map and put 3 big exclamation marks on it. Humans couldn't live in Europe or Northern Asia without fire. It's too cold. The first solid waves of humans moving into Europe around 800,000 years ago matched the first solid evidence of hearths there. Fire meant warmth through winters, cooked calories when plants died, and light to keep predators away in dark forests. She wrote, no fire, no London. No Paris. No Tokyo. We would have stayed home. 12. The first ovens were holes in the ground. At Gesher Benot Yaakov in Israel, 790,000 years ago, Lily found reports of burned flint and fish bones clustered around what looked like earth ovens. Homo erectus probably dug pits, heated rocks in a fire, put food and wet leaves in, then buried it all. Slow roast. No pots, no metal, just dirt and heat. She sketched it like a recipe card and titled it, The First Cookbook. 13. Fire shrank our faces. This one made Lily stare at her own face in a library window. Compare an Australopithec skull to a Homo sapien skull. The jaw gets smaller. The teeth get smaller. The brow ridge fades. Why? Because cooked food is soft. When you don't need to chew raw tubers for 4 hours a day, your jaw muscles don't need to be massive. Evolution took that energy and spent it on brains. She wrote, we stopped biting the world so hard, so we could think about it instead. 14. For thousands of years, we were fire keepers, not fire makers. This is a big distinction Lily kept coming back to. The archaeological record shows lots of hearths, but very little evidence of fire-starting tools until much later. The most likely story, early humans scavenged flames from lightning strikes or wildfires. Then someone's job was to keep it alive. Day and night. In rain. Through moves to new camps. Imagine the pressure. If the embers died, the group might die. She wrote, the most important person in the tribe was the one who didn't sleep. 15. The first hard proof of firemaking is 400,000 years old. At Wonderwerk Cave in Israel, archaeologists found thousands of flint flakes with a glossy sheen. That sheen only happens when you heat flint to 350 degrees Celsius before shaping it. You don't do that by accident. You do it because you control temperature. Lily circled this page in red. This is it, she wrote. They weren't just using fire. They were doing materials science. Similar evidence shows up with Neanderthals in Europe around the same time. 16. The hearth invented the idea of home. Before controlled fire, Lily explained, hominin groups were scattered and mobile. After fire, we start seeing base camps in the archaeology, places people return to again and again. The hearth becomes the center. It's where food is shared, tools are made, elders teach, and children fall asleep. Anthropologists call it the first social technology. The Latin word focus means hearth. We still say hearth and home for a reason. She drew a circle in her notebook. Everything important happens here. 17. Every human group had a different fire culture. Neanderthals in Ice Age Europe built big, hot hearths and used them for high-temp tasks like making tar glue. Early Homo sapiens in Africa often made smaller, quick fires and moved on. People in rainforests learned to keep embers dry in hollow logs. People on coasts used fire to open shellfish. Lily loved this. There wasn't one fire age. There were thousands. Same tool, infinite styles. Like music, she wrote. Everyone plays the same instrument differently. 18. Fire was our first weapon of mass destruction. She didn't like this fact, but she wrote it anyway. In South Africa, archaeological layers show early Homo sapiens repeatedly burning huge areas of landscape. They used fire to drive entire herds of animals off cliffs. They used it to clear forests and make grasslands for hunting. They used it in war against other groups. The same tool that warmed babies also let us destroy ecosystems on purpose. Lily underlined, the first time we could ruin things was the first time we could choose not to. 19. Fire gave us art and became part of it. With fire, we had light after sunset. We also had charcoal and heated ochre, paint. In Wonderwerk Cave, France, 37,000 years ago, humans painted lions and horses by firelight. But here's the part Lily obsessed over. Some paintings are placed so that when the flame flickers, the animals look like they're running. The cave wall was the first movie screen. The fire was the projector. We didn't just make art. We designed for the light. 20. Fire may have shaped language itself. This one is still debated, and Lily noted that. But the theory goes like this: campfires extended our day. Instead of sleeping when the sun went down, groups sat around the hearth. That's time for talking, for storytelling, for teaching, for gossip, for planning tomorrow's hunt. Anthropologists found that modern hunter-gatherer groups that use fire talk more at night, and the talk is different, more stories, more social information, less practical chatter. Lily wrote, "Fire gave us evenings. Evenings gave us words." Lily's notebook gets quiet toward the end. Fewer exclamation marks. More questions. She told me the last 10 facts were the hardest to write, because fire stops being just a tool here. It becomes a mirror. You see yourself in it. Here's how she ended it, in my words. 21. Fire made religion possible. This was the first page with no drawings. Just text. Lily found that almost every early culture put fire at the center of its myths. Prometheus stealing it for humans. Agni in Hinduism as the mouth of the gods. Zoroastrians keeping eternal flames. Why? Because fire transforms. It eats wood and gives light. It takes dead animals and makes food. It's dangerous, alive, and seems to have a will. She wrote, if you don't understand science, fire looks like a god. If you do understand science, fire still feels like one. The hearth became the first altar. 22. The first lamps were just burning animal fat. By 40,000 years ago, Lily found, humans in Europe were carving stone bowls, filling them with animal fat, and using a moss wick. That's a lamp. It's not a campfire. It's portable, controllable light. It meant we could work in deep caves, walk at night, and keep watch without a giant blaze. She called it the first flashlight. From there it's a straight line to candles, to gaslight, to your phone screen. Every light we've made is just a better version of fat in a bowl. 23. Fire let us cross oceans. This one surprised me. Lily explained, you can't sail far without fresh water. And you can't store water long without it going bad. Boiling water with fire sterilizes it. Fire also let us cook and preserve fish, smoke meat, and make hardtack for voyages. Polynesians carried fire in special containers across the Pacific. Vikings had fireboxes on longships. She wrote, the ocean was too big for us. Fire made it smaller. 24. The bow drill might be 60,000 years old. We know for sure that people in the Upper Paleolithic had bow drills to make fire, wood on wood, with a string bow to spin fast. But Lily found studies of wear patterns on tools from Wonderwerk Cave, South Africa, dated to 60,000 to 70,000 years ago. The patterns match fire drilling. If that's true, Homo sapiens were making fire from scratch before they even left Africa. She drew a bow drill and wrote, the first machine. 25. Fire created the concept of fuel, and fuel created war. Once you rely on fire, you need wood, charcoal, fat, oil. Lily tracked how settlements formed around fuel sources. And when the local wood ran out, people had to travel, trade, or fight for more. The first resource wars might have been over forests, not gold. She hated this part. She wrote, we learned to burn things. Then we learned to burn each other over things to burn. 26. Pottery is born in fire. You can't have clay pots without fire. Around 20,000 years ago in China, humans figured out that if you shape mud and put it in a hot fire, it turns to stone. That's pottery. And pottery means you can boil water, store grain, ferment food. It means you can stay in one place. Villages. Farming. Civilization. All of it sits on a bed of ash. Lily underlined this twice, no fire, no cities. 27. Metals are fire's children. Copper melts at 1085 degrees Celsius. You don't get there with a campfire. You need a controlled, super hot fire with airflow. Around 7,000 years ago, humans built the first kilns, probably for pottery. Then someone noticed green rocks bleeding metal in the heat. That's melting. Bronze Age, Iron Age, Steel Age, all of them are just chapters in the story of fire. Lily drew a flame and labeled it, the original forge of civilization. 28. Fire made us tell time. This was Lily's favorite weird fact. Before clocks, people used fire clocks. Candles with marks, oil lamps that burned at a steady rate, ropes with knots that burned through one by one. In China, they made incense clocks where different scents told you the hour. Fire wasn't just light and heat. It was the first timer. We used it to measure our days. She wrote, we burned time to understand it. 29. We lost control of fire, and that's how we found science. For most of history, fire was magic. Then we started asking why. In the 1700s, Antoine Lavoisier proved fire isn't an element, it's oxygen combining with fuel. That discovery killed the old idea of phlogiston and started modern chemistry. Lily loved the irony. She wrote, we tamed fire with our hands for 1,000,000 years. Then we tamed it with our brains, and that changed everything again. Steam engines, electricity, rockets, all of it is just us getting better at controlling fire. 30. Fire is still with us, just hidden. This was her last note. She said, look around. Your car runs on tiny, controlled explosions, fire in a cylinder. Your power plant probably burns coal, gas, or nuclear fuel, fire or the heat from it. Even solar power is just us catching fire from the sun, 93 million miles away. We think we're past fire. We're not. We just put it behind walls and wires. Every time you flip a light switch, you're still that person in Wonderwerk Cave, asking the dark to move back. Lily's final page. She didn't write a conclusion. She wrote a question. Then she closed the notebook. It said, we learned to start fire. Then we learned to keep it. Then we learned to use it. The only question left is, do we know when to put it out?